Hi, everybody. It's me, Grandma Lily, and it is time for Story Time with Grandma Lily. I hope that you had a really great day today. It was a beautiful day, so I did a lot of stuff outside today, and I took my babies, Elijah and Jordan, out for ice cream. They really enjoyed that, and we had a lot of fun today. I was a little sad this morning because I had to go somewhere and I wasn't supposed to wear, I have my favorite necklace, and I wasn't supposed to wear a necklace. So when I went to take it off, I broke it. And so my favorite necklace is broken, and I was really sad today and a little bit angry at myself about it. But you know what? We read yesterday's book about our Irby and his feelings, and I know that I can get my necklace fixed, and sometimes things like that happen. But anyway, so we're going to be moving on now, and we're going to read a story. So I wanted to say, first of all, hello and I love you to my granddaughters, Kylie and Serenity. And my babies are sleeping, of course. Tomorrow, I think it's supposed to be a little rainy. If it is, we're going to make homemade Play-Doh. Have you ever done that? That was yesterday we made homemade edible slime. Tomorrow we're going to make homemade Play-Doh. So that's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun when we're here together. So I'm going to read a book for you today, and it's a very special book. As we get closer to June, I want you to know that I'm going to be reading some books to you that are a little bit different. They're about different kinds of family and different kinds of kids and how they have fun during the day and what they do. But today, I'm going to read you a very special book it's a special book to me. And I want you to know that there are some times when things happen and there are some things that make us sad in the world. And sometimes we wonder where and why. And so this is a book that tells us a little bit about the history of our country from a different kind of view. And the name of this book is called Grandmama's Pride. Grandmama's Pride, okay? And it is by, the author's name is Becky Birtha. And the pictures are by somebody named Colin Bootman. And this person is a Coretta Scott King honor artist. And Coretta Scott King was Martin Luther King Jr.'s wife. And I'm sure you learned all about Martin Luther King in school. And if you haven't, well, we're gonna have to read a book about him because he was a really important guy. And that was his wife, and she evidently has awards that she gives out for artists. And this person, this Colin Bootman, won this award. So we are going to read this book called Grandmama's Pride. I want you to make sure that you have your stuffies and your milk and your cookies and your blankets. And I want you to, if you have questions about this book, make sure you ask your parents or a teacher or a grandparent or somebody to explain this to you, because this is a very important book. Okay, so we're going to read Grandmama's Pride, and it is by Becky Birtha. So here we go. For my mother and father, Jesse Moore Birtha and Herbert Marshall Birtha, and remembering my grandmother, Fetty Adele Dixon Moore. And that is from Becky Birtha. And Colin Bootman's dedication is to all grandmothers. That's me. And the summary of the book, so that you understand a little bit about this, is that while on a trip in 1956, that was 4 years before Grandma Lily was born, to visit her grandmother in the South, 6-year-old Sarah Marie experiences segregation for the first time, but discovers that things have changed by the time she returns the following year. And for those of you that don't know what the word segregation means, it means that we separate things. If you're taking your Legos and you put your red Legos in one pile and your blue Legos in another pile, you're segregating your Legos. You're separating them by color. This book is about segregating people. So here we go. Our family lived up north, but every summer when school was out, Mama, sister, and I went down south to stay at Grandmama's house. The summer of 1956, sister was 5 and I was 6. And there they are, all packed, ready to go to Grandma's house. Just like my babies come to Grandma Lily's house. And I bet you go to your grandma's house, too. The back seat is the best seat on the bus, Mama explained while we waited inside the bus station. It's big and wide and roomy, and the two of you won't bother anybody. Plus, it's right next to the bathroom. Our bus pulled in. Mama waited for our bags to be loaded while Sister and I climbed aboard to find a seat. Go all the way back, Sarah Marie, Mama reminded me. Sister and I didn't know there was a law that said only white people could ride down south in the front of the bus. We rode all morning. By lunchtime, Mama told us we had reached Maryland. We're in the South now, she said. The bus pulled into a rest stop, and we got off to stretch our legs. A lot of people headed for the lunch counter, and I did too. But Mama caught me up quick. We brought our own lunches, Sarah Marie, remember, she said. Back on the bus, Mama unpacked our sandwiches, potato chips in silver foil bags, and a peach apiece. After lunch, Mama read us stories. Soon I'd be able to read too. Aunt Maria, Mama's sister who lived near Grandmama, was going to teach me how, just like she taught all the first grade kids in her class. Sister and I played I Spy and counted cows and horses. We fell asleep and woke up and rode some more. Finally, we were there. The bus station in Grandmama's town had 2 waiting rooms, but only one had benches for sitting down. Grandmama and Aunt Maria were in the stand-up waiting room. Grandmama's next-door neighbor, Reverend Daniels, was there too. He took us to her house in his shiny black Plymouth. Plymouth is a kind of a car. As soon as we arrived, Grandmama started cooking. After that, there was always something good to eat. Dinner was fried chicken and potato salad and stewed tomatoes and buttery rolls and greens. Grandmama cooked every kind of greens you could think of. Mustard, turnip, creasy, and dandelion greens, poke salad, collards, and kale. I love collard greens. They're so good. Dessert was a big, juicy, golden peach pie. That sounds so good. If you ever get a chance to have collard greens, they're so good. Next morning, nobody was in a hurry. The stretched out down south summertime days were here. Sister and I swung in the garden and chalked hopscotches up and down the sidewalk. We played paper dolls on the screened-in upstairs porch and cut out their dresses from last year's Sears Roebuck catalog. We colored pictures to mail to Daddy and waited a week for a letter back. We didn't call anybody. Grandmama had no telephone. Imagine that, guys. No phone. One morning, Grandmama told us to put on shoes, not sandals, and wash our hands and faces. We were going downtown to buy material for new dresses. Are we going to catch the bus? Sister asked. She was too little to remember Grandmama's peculiar ways. But I remembered from last summer. Grandmama never rode the bus. God gave us each 2 good strong legs for walking, Grandmama told Sister. She fastened her hat on with a ruby hat pin, held her black umbrella high to shade her from the sun, and stepped up proud in her black lace-up shoes. Sister and I came stepping right behind her, and we walked. We didn't know that Grandmama refused to take the downtown bus, where people our color had to ride in the rear. We didn't know that Grandmama's pride was too tall to fit in the back of a bus. At the dry goods store, Grandmama chose gingham and seersucker for our summer dresses. Then we walked to the post office. Outside the post office by a big sign, we spotted a gleaming water fountain. Sister and I were thirsty, but Grandmama told us, I don't want you drinking from a public water fountain. You don't know who's been drinking there. Wait until we get home. Grandmama's going to fix you ice-cold lemon mint tea from fresh squeezed lemons with spearmint out of my garden. Sister and I walked right by that water fountain. We knew Grandmama's iced tea was better than any water anywhere. The next day, the sewing began. All day long, we heard the rocking rhythm of the foot needle and the slippery treadle on Grandmama's sewing machine. While Grandmama and Mama sewed, Aunt Maria was teaching me how to read. By July, I could read all the words all over the kitchen. The next time we walked the 10 blocks downtown in the hot August sun, I could read the names of all the streets we passed. At the hardware store, we bought some twine, onion sets for fall planting, and a new broom. I read the names on all the bags of seeds. Then Sister needed to use the bathroom. Grandmama told Mama, "Take her into the bus station. It's right around the corner." We hurried through the sit-down waiting room and down a hall. Sister ran over to a door with a picture of a lady's head. I read the sign at the top of the door. It said, "White Women." Mama pulled Sister back in a hurry. "Not this bathroom," she said, and took us to a different one farther down the hall. "Colored Women," this sign said. There wasn't any toilet paper or soap. When we came out, I started to look around me. The signs had been there all along, but now I could read them. 4 different bathrooms. There was a water fountain in the bus station, too. The sign over it didn't say water. It said white only. I asked Grandmama why those signs were there. "Sarah Marie, I'm very proud of you for learning how to read," she said, "but I'm sorry you have to read these hateful signs. This is the South, and we still have segregation down here. That means we have separate places for colored folk and white folks. Some grown folks still don't understand that we're here, all of us, and God's children." She looked at the white-only water fountain and leaned down to me. "But you don't want this city water anyway," she said. "It isn't even cold." Our last stop was the 5 and 10. At the lunch counter, hot dogs sizzled on the grill. A sign hung over the lunch counter, too. It seemed like a long, long walk back home. The next time Grandmama and Mama and Sister went downtown, I asked to stay home with Aunt Maria. She wanted to listen to me read, but I didn't feel like reading anything. I was ready for the summer to be over, ready to go home, far away from unfair signs and laws. On the day we left, Grandmama made us sandwiches. She packed a tin of homemade cookies and a peach apiece. Aunt Maria took our pictures beside the crepe myrtle tree out front. We loaded our suitcases into the trunk of Reverend Daniel's shiny black Plymouth and rode back to the bus station. We went to the stand-up waiting room and watched out the window for our bus. Sister wanted to go into the other waiting room and sit down. Mama and Grandmama looked at each other. Through the glass door between the 2 rooms, I could see the sign that Sister couldn't read yet. I put my arm around Sister's shoulders. "You don't want to sit on those public benches," I told her. "You don't know who's been sitting there." Grandmama gave me a surprised look and smiled. "Why, Sarah Marie," she said, "you took the words right out of my mouth." When we said goodbye, Aunt Maria left red lipstick kisses on our cheeks. I'd be back next summer, but I wasn't sure I wanted to. I did tell Grandmama I'd be back, though. Back home, up north, there weren't any segregation signs. I wasn't afraid of what words might say, and I read everything. That fall, Mama and Daddy's newspapers told about faraway places like Clinton, Tennessee, where kids like Sister and me intended to go to better schools no matter what. There were pictures of Montgomery, Alabama, where no colored people would ride on the buses, even in the winter. Until they could sit where they wanted, everybody walked, just like Grandmama. I read words I didn't understand: boycott, ballot, civil rights, Supreme Court ruling, laws overturned. When summer came and it was time to go down south again, Mama got on the bus first. "Let's try something different this time," she said, and we rode all the way down south in the front seat of that bus. At the rest stop, Mama told us we could get off the bus, sit down at the lunch counter, and have a drink. I had an orange soda, and Sister had grape. I love grape soda too. When our bus arrived, Grandmama wasn't waiting in the platform or in the stand-up waiting room. She was in the sit-down waiting room. Sister had to use the bathroom. I did too. Grandmama said she'd take us. Then my grandmama walked with her tall, proud steps across the floor of that white waiting room and straight to the door of the white women's bathroom. I hung back. I didn't know what would happen. "I thought you needed to use the restroom, Sarah Marie," Grandmama said. "I did," I mumbled, "but isn't this the wrong one?" Grandmama looked up at the door, and I did too. The sign there just said, "Women." "You can forget about the other signs," Grandmama said. "We held our ground and got those laws struck down," she laughed. "Those days are gone forever." Grandmama raised her arm, pushed open the door, and strode right in, and Sarah and I were stepping right behind her. And that is the end. Now, guys, if you're interested in knowing more about people that didn't want to sit on the back of the bus, ask your moms and dads to look up Rosa Parks and tell you all about Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks one day refused to sit in the back of the bus, and that was in this book when we talk about how the people in Montgomery, Alabama wouldn't ride the bus. They would not ride the bus for a whole year because they wanted to ride in front. So that shows you that if you fight for what you believe in, you have a chance of winning it. But there is something else that I want you guys to understand. Just because there are no signs doesn't mean that we still don't act like this. And there are lots of people that still treat people that are not the same color we are like they're different or not as good as us. And Grandmama showed us that if you have pride and you're strong, that you can overcome anything. So that is my civics lesson for today, guys. Grandma Lily loves you. I hope you have a wonderful day tomorrow, and bye-bye.